All right, we have to talk again about solar panels. Okay, look, solar panels are cool and they do add value to a property and they're neat. And people like them, especially if you've had an experience where you lost power or you're afraid of losing power and you want to have some additional options available to you. Generally speaking, everyone in the real estate industry views the existence of solar panels as a good thing. Here's where it gets tricky. If you've bought into one of those deals where you now have a payment to make on your panels, say they cost $30,000 or $40,000 and you're going to have to pay them off, but they're not paid off and you want to sell your house, now we have a bit of a problem. Again, if the panels are paid off, then it's only a benefit to the buyer. It may not be a benefit as much as they cost. So like you may have spent $30,000 on the panels, but we can really only realistically get you $5,000 to $10,000 or maybe $15,000 more in value. Okay, so it's not going to gain as much as they cost you, but that's fine. It might still be worth it to you to have them. Okay, so not every improvement is done because you want to, we're not all flipping houses all day long, every day. Okay, you got the panels because you wanted them. They gave you peace of mind. That's fine. And buyers will see them as a nice improvement. But again, the problem is if you owe money on the panels. So if the solar panel company came to you and said, hey, don't worry, your next buyer can just assume the low payment. Don't just fall for that, because buyers don't want to take on an additional $30,000 or $40,000 to get something that in their mind they kind of already had. They already had access to electricity. Okay, so now they have to get their mortgage, which maybe is going to be a $400,000 mortgage, and then add an additional $30,000 on their debt because they're assuming the panels. Most buyers will not do that. Very rare will a buyer try to go through the steps to assume the payments on panels. Usually, 9 times out of 10 or more, what happens in those situations is the seller has to pay off the full lien in order to sell the house. So you as the seller, may have only gotten 5 years of benefit from the panels, still making payments on them, so you're not really paying them down tremendously, and you're not really saving a ton of money on electricity because the panels aren't paid off. You're still making the payments. And now, when you sell your house, you have to pay them off. A lot of times people are in a situation where they didn't even know how much they owed on them because they were thinking of it more as a monthly payment. They didn't realize if they go to sell their house, now that's an additional $30,000 or $40,000 out of your equity that you have to give up in order to make the sale. As real estate agents, we'll try to increase the price to cover for it, but ultimately we're all at the mercy of the market, meaning what buyers are willing to pay. And if buyers don't see that value as an additional $30,000 or $40,000, which most of them don't, then they're not going to be willing to pay it. And the appraiser who goes out to judge the value of the house as part of the deal, they may not see it that way either. So most of the time, sellers are having to eat the cost of the remaining balance on their panels as part of the closing statement line item, and it's not a good situation. So think twice before you get solar panels. Make sure it's something you really want. It's not purely an investment, and think long and hard about your ability to pay them off before you sell the house, or your willingness to pay them off as part of the sale, because that's usually what has to happen. Hey, do you have any questions or comments about what you heard just there? Hey, send us a direct message, because it's always better to talk to a real estate expert before doing real estate stuff.